going on? One of the biggest challenges, that we have as in the lending world is there's a big, huge distrust among consumers, that is trusting the lending partner to, number one, deliver on what they say, follow through. I've been doing this a long time, and there's a lot that people say, I started working with this person and, things weren't what they say. So there's a huge amount of distrust that I totally get. I completely understand. And I think that is why a lot of people don't move forward. That's why a lot of people just step back and say, I don't want to do anything, because they're worried about, what's going to happen. It may not happen. I don't want to start this thing and then be disappointed later. And so that's why, I say all that to say that one of the most important things when you start and you really want to purchase a home and you're thinking about, getting a loan and, talking to someone about credit and a lender and a loan officer, it can be very scary. It can be nerve-wracking because there's a sense of, I may not be able to get this. What does the process look like? There's a lot of anxiety there, which I understand. To help alleviate some of that, one of the things that I suggest is to talk with your friends and family. So people people you trust, those are the ones to talk to and say, hey, do you know a loan person? Do you know a loan officer that you can work with? Because at the end of the day, this whole thing is all about trust. It's all about you knowing that, hey, if I talk to this person, they'll tell me the truth. I can believe what they say, and that they'll help get me through the process. And even if I can't get qualified, it's all about the process. And that's the one thing that I think over the years that I've been really mindful of, especially I think a lot of that has to do with the community that I came from, in the African American community. I feel it, and I know the sense of, can I believe this person? Can I trust them? And that's the thing that I totally get. And so I always am very sensitive when I talk to my clients about being clear and upfront and letting them know every little detail. And those of you that know me, one of the things I do is I probably talk a little bit too much, because I love talking, I love educating, I love showing people like, hey, this is the process, this is everything you need to know. And that, yes, things might happen, there might be changes, underwriting, there's going to be more questions, but I'm always being upfront because that is something that I take very serious. In knowing that, yes, this can be a very nerve-wracking process and it can cause a lot of anxiety, and I get it, so that's why I think that, it helps when, if you've had a good experience with the loan officer and, someone who's looking, that might be thinking about purchasing, it's good to let them know, like, hey, talk with this person. Hey, you really should get with them. And, and even if you're looking and you're like, hey, who should I talk to? Well, listen, one of the best things to do is talk with your family. Talk with your trusted friends group. Talk with the people in your trusted circle. And I'm not saying the people that you don't never talk to, you talk to every blue moon, talk with them. No, I'm saying your guarded circle, your inner circle of people you trust. Talk with them and say, hey, do you know anybody? And you'll find that those recommendations are generally often the best ones, because those are your friends and family that you can count on, that trust, and that have a good experience. And those are the ones we should work with, because trust me, getting through this home lending process, it definitely takes trust. You have to trust your loan officer with sharing your information, which is your financial story. And the reason why trust is so important is because we, as a loan officer, we have to know everything when it comes to your finances. And that can be very, especially I know for sure within our community, the African American community, I can speak on just growing up in it. I know that always comes with the sense of distrust, and it's uneasy. It's uneasy to kind of share those personal information and those details. But, that's why you got to trust your loan officer, because they need to know everything. We have to know all the details. If somebody gave you, $50,000 and you have it at home, we need to know. Because if a deal comes through and, the seller might say, hey, well, can you put down this, or this needs to be fixed? We have to know what the flexibility is in the transaction. If you have cash, we need to know, like if you took a loan out that maybe doesn't show up on your credit, we have to know those things. If you're on a timeshare, that timeshares typically don't show up on your credit. If you have a property out of the country, we gotta know that. So these are all the things, because at the end of the day, underwriting, and when you get through the process, they're running all these reports. And if you own property outside the country, it's gonna come up on a report. It's not gonna show on your credit, but it will show up on a report. So that's why it's important just to, make sure you trust your loan officer. We talk about those things and get a good recommendation from a trusted family member, a trusted advisor. And, and I think anything that we do, we got to start building our circle of people that we trust. It's so important to have that community, and it's so important to have that circle of people that we have as trusted advisors. And so, it's a good thing, like I said, but it's just, I'm having conversations, talking to people, and I get it. It can be, very nerve-wracking, to go through the application process. But I can tell you right now, that's why it's important to really talk with your loan officer. And look, it's okay that if you start the process and something doesn't feel right, stop. Change your loan officer. That's why I say the best time to get a loan officer is not in the middle of a transaction, not when you're trying to buy today. The best time to get it is before you actually get in that buying process, before you actually want to put down on a house. Because as you go through, and let's say you don't trust, or something comes up and something doesn't feel right, you want to be able to tell your lender and say, you know what, I'm good, let me switch. And that's the thing. So you're gonna have those moments if you're talking on the phone and your loan officer is not answering your call, not answering your email. And no, I'm not talking about within 5 minutes. Okay, listen, you got to give them time. But if they're not giving you a call back within 24 hours, honestly, you got to start asking those questions of, I think it might be time. Let me find another lender. Let me find another loan officer to work with, because this process is going to be long. I mean, even when you get in a contract, typically that whole buying process can easily be a 30, 45 day window. Now, I'm not talking about from the time you purchase, put in an offer, but I'm saying to get your documents together, the application, getting pre-qualified, getting pre-approved, the conversations you're having, looking for a home. So this is somebody who you're going to have several conversations with, and you want to make sure you feel right about that person that you're dealing with. That loan officer, because it's important. It's an important part of the relationship. And that loan officer, I promise you, will make or break your anxiety level, will make the experience either good or they'll make it really, really bad. And you wish that maybe you didn't even buy the home. So it's a lot of things involved in that. So that's why I say, listen, I get it. Trust is a big part. And I think that, it's very important that you take the time to really trust who you work with and find a good partner, because once you start, you want to be able to finish. And it's always okay to be like, you know what? I'm not going to work with this person anymore. Find somebody else. That is acceptable. It's perfectly fine, because remember, this whole thing is all about you. You're the one buying the home. You're the one going through the process. So you have to understand, it is about you, your experience. And so remember, keep that in mind. And as always, I'm here if you have any questions, anything else you want to talk about, DM, comment, like my page. Later.